Oh my God. Alright. We got the light in. So this is what I'm dealing with right now. I got 245 watts. Not very good. And then my burned out board here. And I've hit this thing all kinds of ways, and it's just not going to come back on. You know, I've cussed at it, I've smacked it. You know, about the only thing I haven't done is throw water on it. And, you know, but so far none of the LEDs that have burned out seem to be responding. You know, so I'll pull you in a little closer here. Probably tell the problem already. Primary problem, at least for the period I've had, is that this light is not sufficient enough in sustaining these in vegetation, and they're starting to have developmental issues. You know, one of the main issues I'm having right now is, you know, for a long time, is that I had these things in solo cups. If you've been on my Instagram, you'd know that these have been in solo cups for, God, probably 4 months before I got these over into a slightly larger cocoa. And I'd be surprised if these were even half-gallon pots with 50-50 cocoa and perlite. I really just needed the root space to get these smaller plants going again. Over here I have, my container, my gauge fell into my plants to sabotage me. But this is my nursery area I built out of an unused deep water culture container. I do have just plain water running through here right now up into the rocks, and that's just to keep the bottom of the cubes out of the water solutions. And if you look in here, you can see this 45 watt light is doing an okay job at vegging these out, at, you know, getting them to come out. This one here is an autoflower. See if I can knock the shell off of that. Maybe not quite ready. It's gonna need. So I'm thinking if I put a stronger light over these, maybe at a higher distance, then I could potentially get these to sprout a little bit. But as it is, you know, I'm not rushing it. They've only been in here. I put these in 2 days ago, and current temperatures underneath this light, as you can see, man, 47% humidity, 72 degrees. And that's a spring day, you know. So these little 45 watt panels, these will do good for sprouting seedlings if you put the light right up against it. See, now I can see the culprits out of these. See that? Oh, come on. Come on, baby. Nice little ball of burned up ooze there. We got a burned out LED there. Move down 2 more, we got another burned out. We move over to the corners, you can see scoring on all of the diodes. So clearly there's another burned out one on the top. You know, nice big burned out one right there in the center. See the amber one? So I got my money's worth out of this this light, though I am somewhat curious to crack it open and see if I can, you know, maybe replace 1 or 2 of these LED diodes on here. It might be pretty nifty. We'll see how that goes. If not, it'll be donated to the parts bin, right? May 31st. Purchased one time. There's a picture of it, man. And the version that I bought didn't look exactly like that. It didn't have a veg and a bloom on it. Just had sort of all the lights on all the time. Which is probably why, you know, this thing burned out. Essentially it lasted, what do you think, about, you know, close to maybe 2.5 years is what I got out of this. This is marked as the 1000 watt light. King Plus grow light for veggies. And that's what it's marked at now. However, because we don't learn lessons very well the first time, I doubled down and repeated the same mistake again, except this time I've attempted to buy an HPS Light. And here's a picture of it. We got 2 bulbs. This one's 130 bucks, so it's $20 more. Comes with a timer that I already have. But the next round of tests for me are going to be seeing if I get any better results growing with the cheap HBS Light in comparison to my my LED grow, which I have some of the results right over here. You can see this is typically what I'll get off of a grow here is you know, 2 or 3 jars of this, and this is, you know, I'd say this is kind of like B grade sort of larfy trim. The LED does good at growing vegetation, and then up to a point what I notice is that in veg you end up with some very you know, kind of airy. It's very light. There's not a lot of density to them, but they are sticky. Does have a nice smell, and you know, it can be made into edibles and other things with relative ease. But this is kind of like what I'm dealing with here, and this is ultimately why I've adopted to swap this out, you know, in addition to the fact that half the board already burned out. So there she is, ladies and gentlemen. An unsuspecting package, to be sure. Alright, back with a knife, ready to dig into this bitch. Hopefully not cut the shit out of ourselves or mar the glass and have everything be all ruined. Fuck out of here. Alright, we got a box that says no knife on here, so of course we're going to go ahead and tear into this with a knife. Bible, son. Ooh, fancy box. Yup, it says no knife, but it's like there ain't no way you're gonna get into this unless you got a knife. I mean, I hate to tell you kids, if you don't have a knife, you're just not gonna be able to get into this box. It's just the way it's gonna go. You know, you'll be defeated at step 0. All right, get her open here. Get her open. Let me make sure we're still in focus. We're not even. All right, there we go. Looks like Christmas. Look at this. Okay, so I got a ballast here. Dimmable electric 600-watt ballast. Power of the sun, 3-year warranty, which is nice because, you know, I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to survive 3 years. But if it does, then you know, props. You see the reflector's just kind of thrown in here with all the shit tossed atop it. I guess, you know, as long as everything works, we won't have too much of a problem. No shattered glass sounds. That's a positive. Positive. Well, I like this timer. This timer's an improvement. I got the other kind of timer that's got digital display, and the thing is just a huge pain in the ass. It's like working a digital rack processor. It's like you got to go in. There's a day of the week, you gotta hold the program button. Bunch of bullshit. I actually greatly prefer this dial where it's like, turn it on for 18 hours, turn it on for 16 hours, turn it on for 12 hours. It's pretty sick. I may end then, you know, swapping out for this, provided that hangers and gloves and fancy. I'll go through this on another, you know, probably off camera. I'm not gonna. This is what I'm at for here. I see we got a little bit of a dented corner, but it feels pretty soft. So I'm gonna bend it right back in place. Generally speaking, this whole thing feels pretty soft, pretty chintzy. I think it's designed. I would hope it's designed to be folded because it's certainly foldable. I'm sure everybody that's got a proper sealed, you know, reflector's laughing their ass off at how cheap this looks, but. That's the lid, man, and I, you know, fully expect. Hopefully, that's a little weird. That's pretty weird looking. It's got a 3-prong thing. I'm hoping that will go right into the ballast without too much problem, and then they didn't send me like a weird European version, which does happen from time to time, Amazon. Remove the protective thing before using. We're going to do that. And we're going to probably try to tweak this maybe into being a little bit more of like a shape that is, you know, proper. So go ahead and cut, and you know, the next time I show this, you'll be seeing it hanging out. Hopefully everything goes together and that it all goes and plugs in properly. Wish me luck, kiddies. Oh my God. All right. We got the light in. As you can see, this thing puts out beautiful white light. I put in the metal halide. You can see I've removed all of the ugly old wires that were hanging up here. All the horrible looking LEDs. Right now, just to test these out, just switched it over here. You can see, you know, the right color of the plants. They're looking pretty pale. I'm about to give them a feeding. I did knock them over a little bit when I was putting the light in. This is how I got the ballast hung down here. I got it running underneath here, going behind my drainage tent and up through the valves where I have all of the plumbing running for my my air bubbler. I just plugged that into the same light that I got. I didn't feel the need to swap it out yet, just because I didn't want to have to pull the whole tent out and get behind the wall. So that's how that is. I'm going to seal it up and see how it runs and check back on the temps periodically. Let me know how, if anybody else is running a 600 watt HPS fixture inside of a 2x4 tent. Let me know how your heat and maybe, you know, what your electric bills look like in the comments. You know, I'm going to be running this 18 hours a day, so I'm really hoping that it doesn't bankrupt me. If it does, then it's got an adjustable switch on the digital ballast, so I can put this down to all the way down to 250 watts, which might not be ideal, but I mean, if it saves me on electrical costs, I might end up doing that. Let me know, anybody who has experience doing that, if this is a big cost savings to you or if it's negligible either way. I'm very excited to see how this turns out. Thanks for tuning in and watching this. This will give you an idea now going forward of the difference between switching to an HPS after an LED, you know, cheap LED, you know. They're not like $1,000 Spectra King LEDs or any of the micro LEDs. Those are really nice LEDs, and I can't really say I have experience with those. But in the space that I have, I am going to switch over to this digital ballast setup, and here's a light. I'm going to run the metal halide here throughout veg and see how my clones and my seedlings respond. I have an autoflower growing in here right in the middle. It's the only one that's shot up yet. It's going to be my next northern lights. And the rest of these are all wedding cake seeds. And then there's a couple tomato seeds in there. You know, the tomatoes I'm planning on putting out in the yard here when the weather gets a little better. So, like I said, leave your comments if you have experience running a 600 watt ballast and what the electric bills look like for you. And also, you know, do you run ventilation on your tents, or do you just vent them out through the vents that they come with? Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.